My name is Graham Phillips. I'm 47 years old, and at 8:32 a.m. on a Wednesday morning in Seattle, I watched Preston Burke reach for his desk phone. I knew exactly who he was calling. Security would arrive in 4 minutes, maybe 5 if they stopped for coffee first. It didn't matter. By 8:57, the automated transfer protocol I'd coded 6 months ago would complete its final sequence, and the priority date filings would be irreversible. The conference room smelled like stale coffee and corporate desperation. Preston sat across from me, flanked by Rachel from HR and a lawyer I'd never seen before. The setup was textbook, 3 against 1, morning light streaming through the windows behind them, forcing me to squint. After 22 years in this business, I'd seen this play before. Hell, I'd helped execute it on other engineers back when I was naive enough to think loyalty meant something. That was before my divorce 3 years ago cost me half my savings. Before my twin daughters, Emma and Sophie, started their sophomore year at Stanford with tuition that would make a Fortune 500 CFO wince. Before I realized that being 47 in tech meant you were either moving up fast or moving out faster. Graham, we need to discuss some irregularities, Preston began, sliding a folder across the table. I didn't touch it. My hands rested calmly on my lap. Years of poker nights with my college roommates finally paying off. Inside, I was counting seconds. The deactivation of my credentials would trigger everything. What kind of irregularities? I asked, letting confusion creep into my voice. Unauthorized system access, downloading proprietary code to personal devices, working on projects outside your scope. Each accusation was technically accurate. Each one was also exactly what I'd needed them to notice. I'd been meticulous about it. For 6 months, ever since I'd realized what Preston and his MBA crew were planning, I'd been creating a paper trail that would lead them exactly where I wanted. Every download logged, every late-night session documented, every personal research project carefully time-stamped on my home equipment. I don't understand, I said. Everything I've accessed is within my role as senior systems architect. Preston's smile was thin and rehearsed. He'd probably practiced it in the mirror, right next to his TED Talk about optimizing human capital allocation, the kind of buzzword soup that made my stomach turn. Your role at TechFlow Systems is being terminated effective immediately. The words hung in the air like they were supposed to devastate me. Rachel pushed the folder closer. Probably my severance package, designed to make me grateful for the knife in my back. The lawyer clicked her pen, ready to take notes on my reaction. You have 15 minutes to collect personal items, Rachel added, checking her phone. Your credentials have been deactivated. There it was. The trigger. My phone, sitting face down on the table, vibrated once, a single notification I'd never see, but I knew what it meant. In an AWS server farm in Virginia, a Python script had just detected my authentication failure. The cascade had begun. This seems excessive, I said, my voice deliberately shaky. After 22 years of building your infrastructure. The board believes new direction is necessary, Preston replied. Jordan has shown remarkable initiative in optimizing your original systems. Jordan Walsh, my former intern, who couldn't debug a simple loop until I'd spent 40 hours teaching him. The same Jordan who was now listed as principal architect on the investor presentations. 6 months ago, when Preston first started talking about fresh perspectives and digital native thinking, I knew Jordan was being groomed to replace me. What I didn't expect was how completely they'd try to erase my contributions. I stood slowly, letting them see my hands tremble. Through the glass walls, I spotted the security guards approaching. Hunter and Eddie, good guys who brought donuts to the team every Friday. Hunter had been with the company since 2003, back when we were 25 people cramped in a converted warehouse in Fremont. He'd watched me architect the systems that turned TechFlow from a scrappy startup into a 400-person company. Can I at least understand why? I asked. Preston actually looked sympathetic. Probably part of the script his executive coach had taught him. The company is evolving, Graham. Sometimes evolution means difficult decisions. Evolution. As if 22 years of sweat equity and architectural brilliance were some kind of evolutionary dead end. As if the fact that I'd started working here when Preston was still in business school made me a dinosaur instead of a foundation. Hunter knocked softly on the door. I checked my watch. 8:36 a.m. In Virginia, the first patent applications were being submitted to the USPTO. In Delaware, ownership transfer documents were being filed with the Secretary of State. In 21 minutes, everything would be complete. "Let's go, Graham," Hunter said gently, touching my elbow. His eyes held an apology he couldn't voice. He knew what was happening was wrong, but security guards don't get to vote on corporate strategy. I nodded, gathering the dignity of a man who thought his world was ending. They had no idea I was counting down to when theirs would begin to unravel. The truth is, I'd seen this coming for months. It started small, my name disappearing from commit messages in the repository. Architectural decisions I'd made getting credited to team collaboration in morning stand-ups. My access to strategic planning sessions getting revoked because senior leadership needed to focus. Then Jordan's promotion from junior developer to lead innovation architect, a title that didn't exist until they needed to justify sidelining me. Suddenly, every meeting about StreamCore, the distributed data processing engine I'd spent 7 years building, included Jordan and excluded me. But the moment I knew for certain was when I found my original technical documentation for StreamCore had been updated. 15 years of architectural notes, performance benchmarks, and scalability solutions, all rewritten to minimize my role and highlight team-driven development. That's when I stopped being naive and started being strategic. Let me back up 6 months. I should have noticed when my commit messages started disappearing from the repository. Small edits at first, a renamed contributor here, a revised attribution there. I'd push critical bug fixes at midnight, only to find morning stand-ups crediting team collaboration instead of my name. But I was deep in the architecture of StreamCore, our real-time data processing engine. The elegance of handling 2.8 million transactions per second had consumed me completely. I ignored the politics and assumed competence would speak for itself. That was my first mistake in 22 years at TechFlow. I joined TechFlow in 2002, fresh out of my master's program at UW, when the company was just 25 people working out of a converted warehouse in Fremont. Sarah Bennett, the founder, had this vision of making enterprise data processing as simple as sending an email. She recruited me personally after I'd built a distributed caching system for my thesis that could scale to millions of concurrent users. Those early years were magic. We were building something that mattered, solving real problems for companies drowning in data. I worked 80-hour weeks, not because I had to, but because I couldn't stop. Every algorithm I optimized, every bottleneck I eliminated, every architectural decision I made was building towards something bigger than myself. By 2010, we'd grown to 150 people, and I'd been promoted to senior systems architect. StreamCore was my baby. I'd conceived it, designed it, and shepherded it through every iteration. The core distributed consensus algorithms that made everything work? I wrote those sitting in my home office on Beacon Hill, fueled by coffee and the satisfaction of solving impossible problems. That's the crucial detail Preston's lawyers missed. Those algorithms were developed between 2015 and 2017, mostly on weekends and evenings, using my personal equipment. I was experimenting with new approaches to data consistency across distributed nodes, academic research that happened to solve TechFlow's biggest technical challenge. I documented everything obsessively, a habit from my graduate days. Every coding session recorded with timestamps. Every breakthrough logged in personal notebooks. My thesis advisor used to say, engineering is only real if it's reproducible. I took that to heart. The erosion accelerated when Preston arrived in February 2024. Sarah had been pushed out by the board the previous year, and they brought in Preston from private equity to professionalize the organization. He was the type who viewed code as fungible assets rather than crafted solutions, engineers as resources to be optimized rather than craftsmen to be valued. His first all-hands meeting featured buzzwords like synergistic optimization and leveraging human capital streams. I should have started planning my exit then. Instead, I watched my name vanish like morning fog. The investor deck that once featured my photo now showed Jordan demonstrating his revolutionary approach to distributed consensus. Patent applications I had drafted listed me third, then fifth, then not at all. My access to strategic planning sessions was revoked because senior leadership needed to focus. The moment I knew for certain was in March when I found that my original technical documentation for StreamCore had been completely rewritten. 15 years of architectural notes, performance benchmarks, and scalability solutions, all edited to minimize my role and highlight collaborative team development. But they made a critical error. The edited documentation still referenced my original IP assignment contract from 2002. I pulled my file and reread every line. The language was specific. All intellectual property developed using company resources during assigned work hours belongs to TechFlow Systems. The key phrases were using company resources and during assigned work hours. About 70% of StreamCore's foundational algorithms were developed in my home office on my personal equipment. Before TechFlow even knew they needed those solutions, my development logs proved it. The Git commits from my personal GitHub account proved it. Even my home electricity bills proved it, showing massive usage spikes during those all-night coding sessions. "You're being paranoid," my brother told me over beers one evening in April. "Companies reorganize constantly. You're overthinking this." But I wasn't overthinking. I was finally thinking clearly. So I started keeping evidence. Screenshots of documentation before and after edits, emails forwarded to my personal account. Most importantly, I began researching intellectual property law. That's when I found Sophia Reynolds. She specialized in IP disputes, particularly systematic erasure of engineer contributions in tech companies. Over coffee that stretched into 4 hours, I showed her everything. "Classic playbook," she said, scrolling through the altered commit histories. "Diminish the creator, elevate a puppet, eliminate the threat. It's textbook corporate theft, but they made several critical errors, such as the pattern itself. Every alteration, every modified document, it's evidence of deliberate fraud. They're not just stealing your work, they're creating a documentary record of the theft. Plus, your original contract is ironclad. They don't own what you built at home." We spent May building an airtight case. I incorporated DataCore Innovations LLC, named for the core systems I'd architected. Sophia drafted patent applications distinguishing between company time work and my personal innovations, with detailed technical specifications that would be impossible for Jordan to replicate or explain. But the elegant move was simpler. As senior systems architect, I still controlled technical documentation protocols, so I created a comprehensive manual for StreamCore Vi 4.0, 187 pages of sleep-inducing technical specifications, the kind of document executives sign because their engineers assure them it's routine. Buried in section 7.2, subsection C, paragraph 4 was a single sentence. Core distributed consensus algorithms developed by Graham Phillips between October 2015 and March 2017 on personal equipment remain the intellectual property of the developer, licensed to TechFlow Systems under terms subject to renegotiation upon V4.0 commercial deployment. I submitted it on a Friday afternoon in June with 16 other routine documents. Preston signed them all in under 12 minutes, probably thinking about his weekend golf game. He never read past the executive summary. Then came the waiting game. By July, the signs were unmistakable. My admin privileges evaporated one by one. My emails were flagged for compliance monitoring. Young developers I'd mentored for years started avoiding me in the hallways, probably warned about associating with someone on the way out. The final insult came in August, an invitation to Jordan's presentation about his vision for StreamCore's future, with me listed as an optional attendee, optional, for the system I'd built from nothing. That night, I sat in my home office looking at family photos, Emma and Sophie at their high school graduation last year, the divorce papers from 2021 that cut my savings in half, the Stanford tuition bills that would cost me $160,000 per year for the next 3 years. I knew termination was imminent. The only question was timing. So I prepared my failsafe, a monitoring script on my personal AWS instance, checking my TechFlow credentials every 30 seconds. When it detected deactivation, it would execute a cascade of legal actions I'd spent months preparing. I didn't build back doors. I didn't need to. I simply ensured that when my credentials died, the systems would recognize that external source licenses had expired. Everything would keep running. I wasn't vindictive, but any attempt to modify or deploy would fail with a simple message: license verification failed. Contact DataCore Innovations, LLC for licensing terms. The beauty was in timing. September was crucial for TechFlow. They had a Series D closing in 2 weeks, a major deployment for a Fortune 100 client in 10 days, and Jordan's board presentation where he'd claim credit for innovations he couldn't begin to explain. I was ready. 6 months of legal preparation, technical documentation, and strategic planning, all leading to this moment. They thought they were firing a 47-year-old engineer who'd outlived his usefulness. They had no idea they were about to detonate their own company. The failsafe triggered at exactly 8:35 a.m. Pacific time. As Hunter escorted me through the lobby, my phone vibrated twice in my pocket. I didn't need to look. The sequence had initiated. First wave, 10 patent applications were being submitted simultaneously to the USPTO. Each one documenting core algorithms I'd developed in my home office during those sleepless nights between 2015 and 2017. The system was generating confirmation emails, timestamp certificates, and priority date assignments all before I reached the parking garage. Second wave. Automated emails were being sent to my carefully curated list. Former TechFlow engineers who'd left for competitors. Industry journalists who'd covered our technology. Angel investors who'd backed me personally during my freelance consulting days before TechFlow grew big. But the real poetry was happening inside TechFlow's infrastructure. At 8:38 a.m., their continuous integration pipeline attempted its morning build cycle. Build failed. Error. License verification failed for module stream-core.consensus.engine. At 8:39 a.m., the DevOps team would be scrambling. Their staging environment for the Fortune 100 client demo wouldn't deploy. Same error, different component. By 8:40 a.m., they'd realize this wasn't a bug. Every module I'd marked as integrated under license in the technical documentation, the same documentation Preston had signed without reading, was failing verification. Production systems still ran perfectly. I wasn't trying to destroy them, but any attempt to modify, update, or deploy new features would fail with a simple message. License verification failed. Contact DataCore Innovations, LLC for licensing terms. I sat in Pike Place Coffee across from the office, ordering an Americano with deliberate calm. Through the floor-to-ceiling windows, I could see TechFlow's offices on the 14th floor. Tiny figures moving faster than usual. Emergency meetings forming like storm cells. My phone buzzed. Text from Sophia. USPTO priority date confirmations received. You're now the documented inventor of 10 fundamental distributed systems protocols. Congratulations. Another buzz. An automated notification that DataCore Innovations website was live. I opened my laptop and checked the site. Clean, professional, understated. A landing page listing available technologies for license with detailed technical specifications. No mention of TechFlow, no accusations. Just a catalog of innovations seeking partners who understood their value. The licensing terms were posted clearly. Standard rates for startups, reasonable rates for mid-size companies, and a premium enterprise rate with one line that would make Preston's legal team choke. Companies with existing implementations of these technologies, 30% of gross revenue from affected products, plus retroactive licensing fees. At 9:07 a.m., my phone rang. Preston. I let it go to voicemail. At 9:09 a.m., he called again. At 9:12 a.m., a text. Graham, we need to talk. This is a misunderstanding. At 9:15 a.m., another call from Rachel. I sipped my coffee and watched email notifications pile up. 28 new messages in 12 minutes. The angel investors were responding. Former colleagues at Amazon and Microsoft were CCing their legal teams. Very interested in licensing discussions. When can we schedule a call? The real validation came at 9:18 a.m. A message from Dr. Michael Torres at UW, my old thesis advisor. Just saw the patent filings. Brilliant work on distributed consensus. I've been following TechFlow's implementation for years, never realized you were the architect behind it. My startup accelerator wants to discuss partnership opportunities. At 9:22 a.m., Preston appeared in the coffee shop doorway. His venture capital polish had cracked like old paint. He looked around frantically, spotted me in the corner, and walked over with the gait of a man approaching his own execution. Graham. He sat down without invitation, his usual confident smile nowhere to be found. What have you done? Filed some patents, started a company, typical post-termination activities for a senior engineer. This is corporate sabotage, is it? I haven't touched TechFlow's systems. I simply ended the license agreement for my personal intellectual property. The license you acknowledged in writing on June 7th when you signed the Stream Core of 4.0 technical documentation. His face cycled through several shades of red as the implications hit him. That document, Section 7.2, subsection C, would you like me to pull up your signature? It's quite legible. You deliberately deceived us. You buried that clause. I documented reality in technical language. You signed it without reading. If corporate executives don't review legal documents before signing them, that's not an engineering problem. His phone started ringing. He glanced at the screen and I watched understanding dawn across his features like a sunrise over a car accident. The client demo, Jordan's board presentation, the Series D investors who thought they were backing a company with proprietary technology they actually owned. "What do you want?" he asked finally. "Nothing. I have what I want. My work properly attributed, my company properly founded, my financial future properly secured. The 30% revenue share is extortion. It's market rate compensation for enterprise-level distributed systems technology. Those algorithms are worth significantly more than your current Series D valuation. But feel free to rebuild from scratch. Jordan's brilliant, right? I'm sure he can replicate 7 years of distributed systems research before your investors walk." Preston's phone rang again. This time the caller ID showed a name that made him actually wince. Jennifer Morrison, the lead partner at Sterling Venture Capital, TechFlow's largest investor. "I have to take this," he said quietly. "Of course." "Oh, and Preston?" I slid a business card across the table. "My consulting rates, in case TechFlow needs help understanding the technology you've been licensing. Standard senior architect rate, $2,500 per hour, with a minimum 4-hour engagement." He took the card with trembling fingers and walked outside to answer his call. Through the window, I watched him pace frantically, gesticulating like he was conducting an orchestra of chaos. At 9:45 a.m., TechCrunch published their article, "Senior TechFlow Architect Launches Rival Firm, Claims Ownership of Core Technology." The subtitle read, "Patent Filings Suggest Systematic Erasure of Engineer Contributions at Major Seattle Startup." By 10 a.m., my inbox had 43 new messages. Investors, competitors, potential clients, 3 acquisition inquiries, and 2 partnership proposals from companies I'd never heard of, but whose technical teams obviously knew my work. One message made me smile. From Eddie, the other security guard. "Saw the news. That's what they get for messing with the guy who actually built this place. My cousin works at Microsoft Azure. They're very interested in talking." Another from my daughter Emma. "Dad, saw something on TechCrunch about your old company. Are you okay? Also, is this why you've been so stressed about tuition? Love you." I archived the business messages for later and replied to Emma, "Everything's fine, sweetheart. Daddy just reclaimed something that belonged to him. Stanford tuition is covered." At 10:30 a.m., I closed my laptop and walked out into the Seattle morning. Behind me, through the coffee shop window, TechFlow's offices were in full crisis mode. I could see conference rooms packed with people pointing at whiteboards, executives running between floors like ants whose hill had been kicked. They'd survive, probably, but they'd never be the same, and more importantly, neither would I. My phone buzzed one final time as I reached my car. The automated monitoring script's last message: "All license verification systems deployed successfully. Welcome to DataCore Innovations, founder and CEO." It had taken exactly 25 minutes to reclaim my life's work. Not bad for a morning's effort. The settlement call came at 11:34 a.m. Preston again. But this time, I answered on the first ring. Graham. His voice had lost every trace of executive confidence. "We need to resolve this. The entire Stream Core infrastructure is locked down. We can't deploy the client update. The Fortune 100 demo is in 4 days." "We did resolve it at 8:32 this morning when you terminated my employment," I said calmly. "What you're experiencing now are the natural consequences of that decision. The board is in full crisis mode. Jennifer Morrison is threatening to pull the Series D funding. Our legal team says the licensing language you buried is ironclad." "It wasn't buried, Preston. It was documented in Section 7.2, subsection C, paragraph 4 of the technical specifications you signed. If you'd read the documents instead of rushing off to golf, we wouldn't be having this conversation." The silence stretched between us like a canyon. I could hear muffled shouting in the background on his end. Probably Jordan trying to explain to the board why he couldn't simply rebuild 7 years of algorithmic innovation by Friday. "What will it take?" he asked finally. "I've already sent my licensing terms to your legal department. 30% of gross revenue from any products implementing Stream Core technology retroactive to the date of my termination, plus immediate attribution correction in all documentation, patents, and investor materials. 30% that's insane. Our investors will never accept those terms." "Preston, do you understand what's actually insane? systematically erasing a founding engineer's contributions while promoting his intern to take credit for work he doesn't understand. Your investors backed a company they thought owned its core technology. That was never true. We'll fight this in court. Please do. I have documented evidence of intellectual property theft, including timestamped development logs, commit histories, and most importantly, your signed acknowledgement of my ownership rights. You have Jordan. Good luck explaining distributed consensus algorithms to a jury of non-technical peers. His breathing was audible through the phone. The board wants to meet. This afternoon, 2 p.m. I'm busy at 2 p.m. I have calls with 3 potential partners who are very interested in licensing my technology. However, I can spare 30 minutes at 4:30 p.m. My office. Your office? DataCore Innovations. I'll send the address. I'd rented a modest office space in South Lake Union 2 months ago under DataCore's name. Nothing fancy. Just a suite in a shared workspace with a view of the Sound. But it was mine, and that made all the difference. At 2 p.m., while Preston was presumably getting destroyed by his board, I was on a video call with a partnership manager from Amazon Web Services. They wanted to integrate my consensus protocols into their distributed database offerings. We've been following TechFlow's StreamCore implementation for years, the lead engineer said, but could never reverse engineer the core algorithms. Now we understand why they were never properly documented in TechFlow's public patents. Interesting how that works, I replied, negotiating licensing terms that would triple my projected first-year revenue. By 3:45 p.m., I'd signed 2 letters of intent and had a term sheet from a venture fund specializing in infrastructure technology. They were interested in investing in DataCore based solely on the patent filings and initial partnership discussions. Preston arrived at 4:27 p.m., accompanied by Rachel and their lead counsel, Nicole Anderson. They looked like they'd aged a decade in 8 hours. Preston's usually perfect hair was disheveled, and Rachel was clutching a folder like a life preserver. "Welcome to DataCore Innovations," I said, gesturing to chairs across from my desk. The irony wasn't lost on me. 8 hours ago, I'd been escorted out of their building. Now they were sitting in mine, hat in hand. Nicole spoke first, her legal training evident. "We've reviewed the documentation extensively. The June 7th technical specification signature appears to create a binding licensing agreement. Our position is that this language was deliberately obscured. Nicole, your firm helped draft the standard technical documentation format I used. This shouldn't come as a surprise. The language was clear, specific, and legally sound." Rachel finally made eye contact. "Graham, the entire development team is in chaos. Half are threatening to quit. They feel betrayed by how you were treated. Any of them are welcome to apply here. I'll need experienced engineers who understand distributed systems architecture. If they prefer staying at TechFlow to work on whatever Jordan builds next, that's their choice." Preston's face darkened. "You're trying to poach our entire engineering team. I'm offering employment to engineers who want to work on technology I created, with an employer who values experience over politics. If they prefer your new direction, they're free to stay." The room fell silent. Outside, the afternoon sun sparkled on Elliott Bay. Finally, Preston asked the question I'd been waiting for. "If we agree to your terms, can you guarantee the systems will work normally? The technology has been working flawlessly for 7 years. The only thing that changed yesterday was who you pay for the privilege of using it." Nicole studied the licensing agreement Sophia had prepared. "The terms are actually quite standard for enterprise IP licensing, aside from the revenue percentage. I'm not trying to be punitive," I said. "I'm trying to be fairly compensated for innovations that took years to develop and are fundamental to your entire business model. We need board approval," Preston said quietly. "Can you give us until tomorrow morning? Market opens at 6:30 a.m. Pacific. After that, I'll be fielding other offers. Several major technology companies have already expressed serious interest in exclusive licensing agreements. They stood to leave, clearly defeated." At the door, Rachel turned back. "For what it's worth, Graham, I'm sorry. I should have pushed back when Preston started marginalizing you." "You should have," I agreed, "but you didn't. And here we are." The acceptance email arrived at 7:23 a.m. the next day, Thursday. "We accept your licensing terms. Legal will send final documents within 2 hours." It was signed by Jennifer Morrison herself. Preston had apparently been removed from negotiations entirely. TechFlow's final agreement landed at 9:15 a.m. 30% gross revenue share from StreamCore implementations, retroactive to my termination date. clear attribution to DataCore innovations in all documentation, patents, and presentations. And most satisfying of all, a public statement acknowledging my role as the principal architect of StreamCore technology. Sophia spotted one last attempted manipulation. They added a non-disparagement clause. "Remove it," I said firmly. "They don't get to silence me after trying to erase me from history." By 11 a.m., the clause was gone, and I was signing the agreement with the Mont Blanc pen my daughters had given me for Father's Day. At noon, TechFlow Systems came back online. The crisis was over, but the 30% revenue share would continue indefinitely, a permanent reminder of the cost of betraying the people who build your foundation. 6 months later, DataCore Innovations employs 15 people, mostly experienced engineers over 40 who understand the value of institutional knowledge. We're building next-generation distributed systems with a simple principle: creators own what they create, and experience deserves respect. Preston lasted another month before the board forced him out. Jordan left for a startup in Austin, where I hear he's learning to build things instead of taking credit for them. Rachel surprisingly reached out last month, asking about opportunities at DataCore. I told her we'd consider it, but trust takes time to rebuild. Emma and Sophie finished their sophomore year at Stanford with no financial stress. They both want to study computer science now, inspired by watching their dad stand up for himself. I've warned them about corporate politics, but also taught them to document everything and never let anyone minimize their contributions. Yesterday, I got a LinkedIn message from a 52-year-old software architect in Austin. His company was pulling the same playbook TechFlow had used on me, marginalizing senior engineers while promoting junior developers to take credit for their work. He'd read about my case and wanted advice. I spent an hour on the phone with him, sharing everything I'd learned about protecting intellectual property and building leverage against corporate theft. By the end of the call, he was planning his own strategic exit. That's become my unofficial mission now, helping experienced engineers protect their work and their dignity. The tech industry has a problem with ageism, with discarding the builders who create the foundations that others profit from. They called security at 8:32 a.m. to escort me out of the building I'd helped design. By 8:57, I'd reclaimed everything that mattered. Today, I tell other engineers facing similar situations: document everything, know your rights, and never let them write you out of your own story. The best revenge isn't destruction. It's building something better from the ashes of their arrogance and teaching others to do the same. In 22 years, I learned that corporations don't steal your work overnight. They erase you one commit message at a time. The key is recognizing the pattern before they write the final chapter, without you in it.